Hey puppies, welcome back to Curiosity Season 2. Welcome to an amazing episode. It is currently raining outside in our Curiosity world, but that's okay because we're going to escape the rain today by leaving this world, not permanently of course. But today we're going to be talking all about Minecraft's most powerful feature, Redstone. You may have heard quite a bit about Redstone. Redstone is kind of like the electronics or mechanisms of Minecraft. It's extremely powerful to do all sorts of things, automation of all sorts of contraptions. Now currently, in this world, this is half of my redstone supplies. So now you see why we aren't talking about it in this world. But we're going to be going over all of the basics of redstone, some of the advanced stuff. If you don't know very much about redstone at all, then this is the video for you. If you know quite a bit about redstone, it may not be, but you may learn some new things. So, shall we get on with talking about everything related to redstone? I think we shall. And so, let's leave this little cute, amazing world with a nice house and a skeleton! And jump into a nice creative world. Okay, puppies, welcome to our little creative world we'll be doing this episode in. It's a nice vibe, the quartz all over the ground. So today we're talking about the basics of redstone. First off, what is redstone? Well, redstone technically is this stuff, redstone dust. But what does redstone dust do? Redstone, as I said before, is kind of like the electronics or mechanisms of Minecraft. You can use it to automate and do all sorts of amazing things. If you've been playing Minecraft for a little bit, or certainly if you've been following the Minecraft community for a little bit, you probably heard about redstone kind of a lot. Redstone is a big feature. Whether you're a casual Minecraft player that just wants to build like an automatic sugarcane farm, or whether you are a really technical Minecraft player that wants to build a giant machine that does everything possible. Well, all of that is basically possible using just this little block. Well, I mean, there's more blocks than just the dust, but other than the dust, the dust is the main part. The dust is the redstone. So today we're basically talking about all the features in here. Some of them we aren't talking about because they're a bit too complex. Target blocks, I'm looking at you. But everything you need to know to get started with the redstone, to get working on your first little contraptions, will be talked about in this video. We may go more into depth about other contraptions throughout our season, certainly about other little farms, maybe about certain blocks like redstone launchers have a lot of other uses, comparators have other uses and things like that we might be talking about later on. But generally this is going to give you a nice rundown of every big important redstone component. So we're going to start off with power. How do you get power into redstone dust? Because right now, this is unpowered redstone dust in this little crosshair. This isn't going to do anything. This is just like, sitting around with dead battery. Like, that's boring. Who wants dead batteries? Nobody. So we should really talk about how do you get power. Now, there's a few ways to get power in Minecraft and power redstone. Here are some of the basics. This is most of what you will use. You have things like levers here, buttons, pressure plates, redstone torches, and redstone blocks. So what we have here is 5 redstone wires. Redstone connects in a wire-like chain, so it's like a cable or a wire, like I just said. It's a wire, I've said it like 6 times now, but it's actually the best way to explain it, is a wire. So you can have ones that are just a single cross like this, then you can have a dot, which doesn't do basically anything at all. And you connect it in a wire and it can connect in all directions. How do you get power into your redstone dust? That's a very good question. Something like this block, a lever, is very good for that. This lever, if you were to right click it, gives a strong and constant signal. It flicks on like that and gives a constant signal into redstone wire that is adjacent to it. So that could be there, could be there, could be there. That could even be there. No, it could be there though. So levers are very good for giving a constant power, so something very good for like a player activates it. But then there's also buttons. Now what's the difference between a lever and a button? Well, there's one major difference. Press the button, as you saw, after a while, it actually turned off. So it turns back on, then it turns off. The button pushes in, button presses out. So levers give a constant signal, and buttons give a non-constant signal. They actually turn off after a while. The timing gets a little bit different, because if I search up button here, you'll see there's lots of different buttons. The 2 stone buttons here, they give off a shorter pulse than the wooden buttons. just a good thing to know there. But if you want something that goes on for a very long time, you could, well, there's certain circuits you can make for that, or you could just use a lever that gives an infinite power until another player switches it off. Another thing about buttons is that, not with the stone buttons, but with the wooden buttons, they can actually be turned on by, say, a skeleton shooting the button and an arrow hits a wooden button. It can also open it, so levers are technically more secure because only a player can activate it. With a button, if you have a wooden button opening a door and you're like, ah, you're running away at night time and a skeleton is chasing you and a skeleton shoots and hits the button on the door, you might run in and think your door's shut, and then a creeper could just walk in, or the skeleton, and hunts you down. But that can't happen with stone buttons, and that happens very rarely, so really you're fine with either of these. Another thing that you might want to use, certainly in like a door or something, is this. This is a pressure plate. A pressure plate does not need to be right-clicked or anything like that to activate. Actually, you give it pressure, so you're doing something like standing on it will activate it. Also, dropping some items on, not the stone ones, I don't think. Yeah, the stone ones don't get activated by dropping items on them, but the wooden ones do. Whoops. So as you can see, it changes a bit as well here. So you have some different ones. You have the stone ones, you also have an iron and gold one, and then you have the wooden ones. With ones like stone, you have to have a player or a mob standing on top of the pressure plate and it'll activate. This is very useful for things like automatic doors, because if I got a little bit of a setup here. Oops. As you can see, this is my door. Pretend there's a house here and not nothing. You step on the pressure plate, and as you do, it sends adjacent power into this casual and very humble redstone component of the Minecraft door. And it stays open for long enough. These will eventually press back in, like the buttons. They'll pop back out and stop giving power off. But the thing is, all three of these things, well, they need players or mobs of some sort to actually activate them. That seems rather not very good if you want something like automatic power. What if you want to be able to give off power automatically to, say, I don't know, a piston or a hopper minecart line? I don't know. What if you want to give infinite power? I mean, you could just use levers, flick them on and then leave, but what if you're even too lazy just to flick on a lever? Well, that's okay. Because then you have things like redstone torches. Redstone torches are extremely powerful and very useful blocks, actually. Unlike regular torches, they only give off a small light level of 7, that doesn't seem right. They do actually give off 7. They only give off 7. But they also give off a large amount of signal strength. So they give a constant power. They can be turned off using something very cool like this. So, currently we have this redstone torch on. Redstone torches, just like regular torches, can attach onto the side of blocks. They can also be on top of blocks, and things like that. Now, if I was to send redstone power into this block, what would happen? The line out there went off. That's weird, because when a redstone torch has power sent into the block that it's sitting on, it actually turns off, which is very useful for circuits and things. So it's like a lever, but it doesn't need... So redstone torches can function like levers, but they don't need players to do it. You could put this up to some sort of timer, you could do anything. You could also activate this from very far away. Very useful. You can just use it to invert signals. So instead of having the button, let's say we want a door that's always open for some reason, and then shuts when we press a button. Well, that is now doable. Instead of the button opening the door, sorry, like it would if there was just a button there, you can now have it so the door is open, and then gets shut when you press the button. Very cool and useful there. We can also just use them as a pretty cheap and easy power source that's always on and does not require any player. Another thing which is not very cheap and easy is this thing, the block of redstone. This is just the compressed block. You know, there's lots of compressed blocks. Like if I just go block, you can see that blocks of netherite, emeralds, raw blocks, you know, copper. But a block of redstone, which is crafted with 9 redstone in a square, also gives off a constant signal. Though this is fairly expensive, I don't really know why you would use this. There's some cases you might want to use this because all of these actually need supporting blocks, and this one is its own block, so that's actually kind of interesting. So that's pretty much every main power source in Minecraft for redstone. There are other power sources, but we'll be talking about those in a bit because they're a bit more complex. But there we go. Power sources. Signal strength is a very big and important thing in Minecraft redstone. As you'll notice with our power supplies up here, let's say this one with the redstone block. As you can see, all 15, this is 15 blocks long, 15 blocks of redstone dust here, all in the line, and this is the 16th. You'll see they're all powered, which means if we would put some sort of component like a door at the end, it would be powered. It's not on. That's weird. This door isn't open, that's funny. But it's open there. Why is it only open? Oh, those ones are off. Why is it only open here and not there? Well, that is because of something called signal strength. Redstone power isn't infinite, unfortunately. You can't just put down, say, one redstone torch or one lever, and it can power an infinite distance of redstone dust. It actually will only travel for 15 blocks. So if I hit F3 here, and you look under the targeted block and look at the tags, you'll see one of the tags for redstone wire is 15. Sorry, is power. Power is at 15 next to the power source, and continues to go downwards. Until eventually it hits 0. This is because it's 16 blocks away. So power can only travel for 15 blocks. Very useful to know. If you say have a button over here and it's meant to power your redstone contraption all the way over there, and it isn't working, maybe you could think about whether the signal strength has run out. But what do you do if the signal strength has run out? What if I want a button in my base that activates my skeleton farm lights all the way like 50 blocks away? I want that to happen, but Ninja, I can't do that anymore. Redstone is so useless. Well, actually, that is incorrect, because there's another incredibly useful block in this chest. It is the redstone repeater. Now you may already guess where I'm going with this, but repeater. Use a lever for constant signal here, so we're able to see how far the signal goes. It stops here, and you can tell by looking at the power at 0. So this line here, it stops. That's where all the power ends. So this door is open. This door is not open, unfortunately. What if we want to extend the signal for as long as we like? Maybe like 500 blocks, maybe 25, maybe, you know, 16, who knows? Well, then there is a way to do that, and that is with something called the repeater. The repeater is very useful and very powerful redstone component. If I take out the 16th block and it's not redstone wire anymore, and I put a redstone repeater there, as you can see, the power gets repeated, amplified, and retuned up, and gets turned into 15 again. So that means we can go a whole nother 15. It's like if we were to put another redstone torch there, but you don't have to put another redstone torch there. You can just put a repeater instead, which actually is a couple of redstone torches worth, but you know. Which means that now, let's say we have a door over here, because we're just demonstrating everything with doors today. I turn off my lever, the door all the way over there shuts, and it opens, and shuts, and opens. Okay, you get the point now. Redstone repeaters are very powerful, but that's not all. For today, the one special offer that always exists is that redstone repeaters can also delay signals. That's right, they can delay signals. Why would you want to do this? Well, there's a lot of reasons actually, but as you can see, it has those two little redstone torches there. That's actually what that is, and this redstone line there. If I was to right click on the repeater, as you can see, the distance between the redstone torches has expanded, and then bam again, and then one more time. That is because this is the delay between the two, between the signal coming in and coming out. So if I put this there, there's only a 1 tick delay. Now there always has to be a delay. There are systems you can use to get instant repeaters, but it's just 1 tick, it doesn't really matter. But then if I was to do this, say, you actually can notice delay. It's not too massive, but if there's some reason you want to delay, then a repeater might just be your guy. So you can have it at 4 redstone tick delay, 3 redstone tick delay, 2 redstone tick delay, and 1 redstone tick delay. But there we go. As you can see now, the door has quite a big delay. Now this is a lot of repeaters. It is. I mean, quite frankly, just put the button nearer to the door. But yes, redstone repeaters have lots of uses. They can extend signals, delay signals. They can also get locked. But that's complex, and we're not talking about that today. But they also have another use of locking repeaters. But I've like never used it before in a contraption, so I'm not talking about it today because it's not that useful. But there we go, the redstone repeater, humble but also extremely powerful. Another contraption, kind of like the repeater, is this, the comparator. But comparators, unlike redstone repeaters, they cannot extend signals, nor do they delay them. But what do they do? Well, that is a very good question. Here, I have 3 chests with 3 comparators, and also 3 15-block long redstone lines coming up the back of them. So, in this chest, I have 0 items, a grand total. I'm so rich, guys, but I have nothing, unfortunately. Comparators have the ability to detect contents of containers, so let's look here. This chest has 9 chests in it in a row. As you can see, this comparator is turned on, but this one isn't. That is because it is not detecting any items and giving out a signal in this one. But in this one, it is indeed giving out a signal for the chests that are inside of it. And this one is completely full of stacks of chests. That's a lot of wood. And this gives out a maximum signal strength. So they give out not just a signal depending on whether the items are in there or not, but also the signal strength varies. So as you can see, this has barely any items in it at all. This gives out a signal strength of 1. Because this one has a maximum amount of items in it, it gives out a maximum signal strength of 15. Comparators also have some other uses, like subtraction mode and being able to compare things. But generally, the most important thing that they could do is measure the contents of containers. Now that's not just chests as well, it's all kinds of containers, barrels, lots and lots of things. Basically anything that can hold items can be detected, except for ender chests, unfortunately, because they have their own MBT units per player. So that's the basic uses of comparators. We'll be going more over of the uses of comparators later on in Curiosity, so keep an eye out for those other uses of comparators. If you want me to do a more detailed video on comparators, I could probably make like a 5-minute video on comparators that could say basically everything they can do. Same with repeaters, about the whole locking system and stuff. And maybe also redstone torches have a lot of other uses. Redstone is a very complex but also very powerful feature. Once you get to know it, you can do kinds of things like make working computers or things like that. Or you can just be more humble like me and maybe make a sugarcane farm in a system that says your name and lights up or something. So here we have another extremely useful redstone contraption, and that is the pistons. Oh yes, pistons are incredibly powerful. If I grab myself some pistons here, pistons push. If I was to stand here, right in front of this piston and activate it, whoop, as you can see, it actually shoves me away, which is very rude, and I try to get it up, but then it comes back at me. Pistons are very useful for the transportation, not just of mobs, but also of blocks, as you can see. Oops, not doors. Most blocks in Minecraft can be moved. There are some exceptions of unmovable blocks, such as obsidian, also chests, furnaces. That's basically it, I think, yeah. They cannot be moved. But there we go, the piston pushes and pulls blocks. The piston pushes blocks and mobs. Now, it may be simple, like there's not too much to talk about with it, to be honest, but it is extremely powerful and extremely useful. Without the pistons, we basically wouldn't be able to actually affect the Minecraft world with redstone. But with redstone now, you can do all sorts of things. You could have, you have doors and things that can be affected by redstone, but now with pistons, you can actively change blocks, have farms, all sorts of things. But then there's also the cousin, the best friend of the piston, possibly the better brother. That is the sticky piston. What can the sticky piston do? Well, let's see. Let us compare the sticky piston. It pushes me. Yep. That's the same. It looks the same. It's just a bit more slimy. Interesting. If I put a block in front of it, let's see what it does now. Pushes. It also pulls back, whereas the regular piston does not. As you can see, the regular piston just pushes blocks away, whereas the sticky piston actually pushes and brings back, but only brings back the one block in front of it. The sticky pistons are very useful because not only do they push blocks, but they also pull blocks back. They can also do this vertically, and also they can push many blocks at once, such as this line of 12 blocks here. Bam! Okay, it's kind of hard to see if they moved. I guess I can do it again. Let's see. Huh? That's weird. It didn't work. How mysterious. That is because of something called the piston push limit. So to stop players from having the ability to do this and push down the entire Minecraft world and crash your game, there is something called the piston push limit. And that is 12 blocks. So the pistons and sticky pistons can only push 12 blocks at once. Any more than that, and it just refuses to push. Something very important to know when making all sorts of contraptions. Pistons are so powerful they can even be used to make flying machines, which sounds amazing. It's a little bit less amazing than it may sound, but it's still pretty amazing. They can make all sorts of incredible things, and even be more humble in just making, say, a sugarcane farm or bamboo farm or something. There we go, that's everything you basically need to know about pistons and sticky pistons. Moving on now to our next contraption, and that is observers. Observers are the first block we're talking about that have a face. Look at that face. That is a stern, unimpressed face. We are not amused, if you know what I mean. Wow. Now, we were talking about different ways to get redstone power right at the beginning of our episode here. But there's also one other way that we didn't really talk about. Well, I guess comparators also give off power, so we didn't talk about that. But also, observers here. So observers, they observe things. Sorry about zooming there. Observers observe things. They can see the exact block in front of them, but they also cannot see me doing this. Do-digga-do-digga-do-digga-do-digga-do. Do-digga-do-digga-do-digga. You can't even observe me dancing. You may observe, but you cannot do anything about it. So, in fact, observe this. Something happened. And that is because observers actually give out a redstone signal when they detect a block state update in front of their faces. That sounds a bit complex. Well, it's actually alright. We'll break it down. Observers give off power when they detect a block change in front of it. So let's say currently the block in front of it is air. Now it's quartz. Now it's air. Now it's quartz. And you can see the light behind it, the line behind it, sorry, is lining up. And then I also have this light here, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. But basically, this redstone lamp just turns on its brightness whenever it gets redstone power. Good way to see if your circuit is working, but it could also work with like a door. Now it's only a very brief signal, but you could do something like give a repeater or pulse extender and make it longer, but it does work. But also, it can update with other things, such as, you'll see this wheat right here. Whoops, I stood in the water, now I need a boat. Now you see this wheat right here? This is wheat growing. If I was to bone meal this wheat, it gives a signal. But that's odd, because, I mean, the block didn't change, it's still the same block, it's just older. But that's because of block states. Technically, it doesn't just detect new blocks, it also detects block state updates. So that's all kinds of things, such as if I was to put a door in front. Now, I activated because I had the door there, but if I open the door, or shut the door, it also changes, because that's a change of its block state. The wheat, that's also the case. Update, update. Update, update. This is extremely useful for automatic farms. You can do all sorts of things with this. That's going to be just about it for this little redstone talk we're going to do here, but also there's some other things I want to talk about, just ways to show that you are getting a redstone signal, basically. When given a redstone signal, a block like a note block actually gives off a little sound in a note block particle, and this sound actually can be changed. You can do all sorts of musical things with this. I think I've made a circuit that played Ode to Joy or The Entertainer once, possibly just the main theme of The Entertainer. It's about as far as I can go with my knowledge and the limited range of notes this thing has, but it is still pretty cool and you can make all kinds of music on that. And also, as we saw before, the redstone lamp just turns on and gives some brightness, but that also is very useful because if you give it a constant power, you can turn it off, you can have an area dark, so maybe like monsters can spawn, and then you can turn off your mob farm. And so that's probably going to be just about it for this episode of Curiosity. I hope that you have learned quite a bit about redstone. And if you have any further questions about redstone or any other topic that we covered in this episode, then I would love to hear it down in the comment section below. I can definitely do more topics on redstone. I'm talking more about redstone throughout Curiosity Season 2 and other series. Redstone is super powerful, and I hope that you know a little bit about it, and are very inspired to create some new and fantastical creations, and I can't wait to see them. Whee! Now shall we jump back into the Curiosity world? And here we are, back in our little house. I miss this little house. I love our little house. I also put some more detail on the floor and stripped oak logs, which you'll learn more about that later. Is that skeleton still there? Yes. And so, puppies, that's going to be it for this episode of Curiosity Season 2. I will see you in the next one. I hope you've had a very nice time. And so, puppies,
I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.